Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Roll20 Presents The Burning Wheel. This is episode number 9. Episode number 9, or 11, depending on how you're counting.
Lucky number 9, or yeah.
That's how that goes, right?
That's not a lucky number.
Lucky number is 9, 11, 16, 45, 86.
If
we get to episode 86, I can't even. The character.
If we get to episode 86, we'll be awesome.
I'll be very.
If we get to episode 86, I'll be dead.
I'm not making it to 86. I'm probably not going to make it to 18. Let's be honest.
That's true. Yeah. If somehow Miro manages to get all the way to episode 80 without corrupting out, I will be very impressed.
Well, I mean, like Miro is either dead or Emperor of the Universe, right? Like those are the two.
What if Miro reforms?
Or
makes everyone else do his corrupting work?
Well, let's take a moment. Let's just take a real quick, hypothetically speaking. This is just a hypothetical spin-off here. Let me find the rules for corruption. If you wanted to avoid ever having to take a corruption test again, if you want to avoid ever having the risk of becoming an amoeba, you are never allowed to lie or commit a willful falsehood ever again. Never touch or deal with magic in any way, shape, or form. You can't harm another person. You basically have to just like lock yourself away in a monastery because being exposed to magic at all corrupts you.
At a certain point, aren't you like not getting any points from doing tests that are way beneath you?
It's like this is why he went up to 7. It's like greed. Even little things. There's no such thing as a routine test for corruption.
Okay.
So even lying is a danger, which is fine. That's part of the tension of a meter like corruption. It's the same as greed or grief or hate, right? You have to like nudge your way forward and carefully hedge your bets around your corruption.
What if
here's the thing though,
establishes his church and then goes into seclusion?
Yes, yeah, that would be possible. Yeah.
It would be really boring to play, but...
And as long as you only do really minor things and never do a big thing, you won't advance because you'll just have a million routine tests and no challenging. But then, like, if you ever get that one challenge...
If you ever sacrifice someone to forward your goals or whatever, it's just like corruption.
Well, that's the thing is it's the thing about corruption is that you have all these extra dice and you're like, I could just if I wanted to get what I need, I could just turn to the powers of darkness.
Listen, if there's one thing I know about in roleplay, it's leaning on the powers of darkness to get things done.
That's true.
I do that a lot at LARP.
So. I say, you know what they say, play what you know. So.
Yeah, it's true.
So you'd still need those big tests, and you can get those from either doing horrible, evil, wicked shit, or just using your corruption dice to get more mundane things. Yep. So there you go. That is certainly an option for the episode 80. But we're all the way back here in episode 9. If you're watching this in like several years and we're doing episode 80,
you're binging it and you're gonna get there before we got there. Yeah.
So, what a time capsule this will be.
Yeah, that's true. So welcome everybody. I'm excited for today's episode. But It's been a little while. Do we want to talk a little bit about what happened last time? Do we want to recap? I know.
Do a small
Dave,
recap?
do you want to tell the story of your confusing note?
Yeah, I wrote down so I didn't forget that I need to make a plan with Adam.
That's it.
What it is.
I mean, at least you know there's something to talk about.
Yeah, like there's make a plan. It's a good call. I looked at my notes and I definitely don't have anything about Miro having a plan. I think the idea here was we were just talking about you needing to develop like a strategy for building your
church.
Yeah.
I got lots of plans like that then. That's fun. I want the Penguin in Gotham. Start watching Gotham. That's a good show.
It's good. Yeah, right? It's good. I don't think it's really good, but it's good.
I felt to just to throw in an opinion on this. I felt like Gotham maybe did the like it's about Batman. He's Batman. He's going to be Batman like a little too hard. Like
no.
I know.
No.
I get it.
No. The the whole point of that show is that it has nothing to do with Batman.
Look,
In
it's
fact,
a baby cowboy.
fuck Batman.
Look, it's a baby
I don't care.
penguin.
Yeah.
Look, it's a baby poison ivy. Look, everyone's so little.
Yeah, but like canonically, none of it makes any sense.
True.
So just throw it all out the window and pretend they're different canon.
Gotham is to Batman what Muppet Babies is to the Muppet Show.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't love the Muppet Babies?
That was some good TV right there.
Now I'm gonna have the theme song stuck in my head the rest of the episode.
Oh, not September the 21st?
No, not anymore. I finally freed myself from that horror.
But don't you remember?
So yeah, I mean, I have some notes about some ongoing shit, like the circles roll that conjured up Broten, the
Yes,
knife
Broten.
knower, Broten the blade, and you talked to Elisandra. You talked to the queen and managed to convince her to kind of like let you into her, or start letting you into her like friend circle. You're gonna get invited to more things, more participation, that stuff. You talked to Lady Urtica about the middle class.
Blech.
You threw some like really, really weak shade as well. And it was like,
I did.
yeah,
so weak.
like my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was like,
This baby I made successfully with my womb and shit. Not a big deal. I'm not trying to brag, but
I'm not trying to brag.
So Blue Jay and I were talking about this yesterday. It's important that we occasionally remember that the characters have different ideas because of the culture that they're in and because of the time and the class that they are. They have different ideas about certain things. Motherhood, particularly. Like, being a bad mom does not mean the same things to us as it would to the characters. So, like, for example, Lady Alessandra being distant from her son and not really knowing anything about him or caring about him at all. No one's going to be like, you don't love your kid. They're going to be like,
yeah.
Are you raising your kid to take care of your house? If so, good work. We don't care if you actually like him or care
he's
about him
being
at all.
fed,
Yeah, I mean,
taught, like,
people are taking care of him. It doesn't have to be Alessandra. Yeah.
Yes.
why are you
However,
judging me? Why are you
However, yeah,
That's-
in this specific
the issue-
example,
the issue here is not about Alessandra being a bad mother. The issue is about Reza potentially undermining you.
Yeah, fuck him.
So
yeah,
Or don't,
everyone's
rather.
kids are just political tools, right?
do you,
It's
do you want
about
him?
the
Do you want him
security of
killed?
the tool.
I mean,
I was thinking about it.
So the court has an understanding now that Miro is chosen by the angels. Miro has done some work among the lower classes as well.
Also, he's furry.
Yes, he has fur. He's had fur for a bit. So yeah, and that's a sign of his being chosen by God. We kind of worked out the big lore thing from the last episode, that we worked out that there is some theories among religious scholars that Stygia is this like ancient cursed kingdom that God turned his face from in their like whatever the equivalent of the Bible or series of Bibles is in this world. And Joy and Miro had like y'all had a moment where you were like, maybe we have more in common than
Yeah.
we thought.
I mean, the moment basically boiled down to like, you're weird and I'm weird, and that's cool.
That's right. Cool. Yeah. And I think mainly that's kind of where we're at.
I made a friend. I made a very powerful ally with an incredibly difficult role.
Which ally was this?
Father Robelot.
Yeah, right.
My
Yes.
uncle.
Yeah, you and him are buds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
I
yeah,
had
that's
to-
right. You swayed him with many a 6.
Yeah, he had like 7 will or something. And I was like, oh, come on. And he was like, okay.
That's how I remember it too. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Come on.
Come on.
All right, fine. Cool. So, yeah. So I think that the place to go now is just let's review our belief, instinct, and goal situation. I've updated. If you haven't looked at it recently, I updated the character relationship map to include all of the new characters that we have had introduced. Reorganized.
So many characters, so much map.
Yeah, it's slightly uglier than it was before, but it's easier to read, I think.
And to follow, yeah.
Yeah. So, cool. All right. So let's start as we always do with Joy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What's your tell us of your
Start with
Beliefs,
joy, move on
instincts,
to
and goals.
sadness. So my beliefs, Joy's beliefs are underestimated every turn. I'll show them. I'll get my hands on a proper weapon. Magus Diptera has made an enemy. I'll find something to use against him. And I need a god to interpret my dreams. I will find a way to make her trust me. My instincts are, when anyone speaks of God, laugh. Always keep a knife where no one can see it. Confront every boast with an ugly truth. My character traits are off-kilter and scapegoat. My die traits are broken, numb, and and lame. Broken, numb, lame, and dreamer.
Yes, the last two are your corruption traits,
Corruption
right?
traits, yeah. And my call-on traits are aura of innocence and keen taste. And I have some character traits from my culture, which are ashen, somber, and eldritch for being a Stygian.
Excellent. Good stuff. So you didn't change any of your beliefs or instincts from last time?
No, I got some fate for most of them, but I didn't finish any, so I kept them the same.
Excellent. Okay. Sounds good, Joy. Agatha?
Yeah, so excuse me. I must ensure my position at court is secure. I'll find the cause of this winter curse for the king. Having a full understanding of Elisandra's character, perhaps it is time to form a new understanding of the queen. She may be a more fitting candidate. That raving monk has some connection to this cursed winter. I will discover his secrets. My instincts are to always speak truth to power, never put something back in the wrong place, and never let a trespass go unpunished.
Mm-hmm.
I am always in the way, well-traveled, spooky, inscrutable, respectable of women, lupine, reclusive, misunderstood, fey-blooded, blind, gifted, spirit familiar, essence of earth, exhausted, and forked tongue.
I can never get through yours without laughing.
It's a long list. You have many a trait.
What is a man but a miserable pile of traits?
It's true.
Or a woman, I guess.
A person, a being. Can you have traits if you're like a rat?
Probably.
Yeah, totally.
not?
I mean, you'd have to be worth like paying enough attention to have traits, but yeah, like even monsters and
So
zombies
it's not
and
just a man or a woman, it's just whatever being.
I mean, I guess you could have a trait that's miserable little pile of secrets.
That would be a fun trait, actually.
What is a Dracula? Speaking of bloodsuckers, Alessandra?
What?
Whoa!
Fine, I'll take it. Alessandra's beliefs are keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I must gain the queen's confidence. I believe we stated, because I just did the etiquette roll, that I'm still working on that.
You've positioned yourself to gain her confidence. Yeah, you're no longer like a stranger. You've moved slightly in circles.
Yeah, so I got fate for that, but definitely not persona yet.
Yeah.
The king has said he will handle things. I must learn of his plans. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Lady Tabitha Vulpa should not be underestimated. I must find out what she knows of me. My instincts are, when I meet someone new, ingratiate myself to them. Always redirect violence away from my person. And the new one, always have the last word, which I'm gonna try and see if we can work on it. But my character traits are your lordship, ambitious, well-dressed, independent, cosmopolitan, raven-haired, mark of privilege, and rapier wit.
Excellent.
And I would like to point out from last time that Adeline, when we relationship circled her, I put it on my thing that I circled her as being loyal specifically to me.
That was like one of the conditions of your...
Yes, because I wrote down House Corvidae, like not just, like I used my house to get her. So I just want to remind you, because you were like, she would laugh while you burned at the stake. And I'm like, she's supposed to like be on my side.
Yes. I mean, still, you can be loyal to someone and not like them.
I'm just saying that, like...
It is beneficial. It is beneficial to her to go along with the things that you want. Yes.
Yeah, because last time it seemed very much like you were all like, she hates you.
I mean,
like,
she hates you. She hates you with the deep-seated hatred that anyone who's being oppressed by a noble hates any noble. But
that's fine.
I mean, yeah, the deep-seated hatred of servitude.
Yeah, she understands. She understands, like all those who are oppressed, that the only true struggle is class struggle. So she's got it out for you. But still, it befits her to
I just wanted to mention that, like, I noted that I circled her as a Corvidae housekeeper, not just any like.
Well, sure, yeah, of
Larix.
course.
Not just a Larix housekeeper. But
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. She's more or less on your team. Cool. All right, Miro.
Yeah. We got some new beliefs and some old beliefs. The old beliefs. I don't like that this one hasn't had any movement on it. It scares me. I cannot allow my vision of the future to come to pass. Rather, Agatha and their heretic companions must be stopped. I will track down the angel to better protect them. I guess I am kind of working on that. And yeah, that's fine. I'll be fine. God is dead. I'll bring him back. I'm practicing my summoning on human ghosts in preparation for his rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two that I finished last time, we have changed to, I wish to rekindle the spirits of the people. Performing public miracles will revitalize people's faith.
Yeah.
So
And
good.
the dead have wisdom of the past, which might pertain to the future. Father Robillard and I will obtain the knowledge of the late Lord Gavril Albius.
Sticks. The worst.
I think sleeping dogs are best left sleeping first.
Yeah, dead people.
I feel like
should
Joy
stay
only
dead.
thinks that because Joy is the dog in that aphorism.
It's true. Don't wake me up.
Dead people should stay dead.
Inside.
I mean, I am a broken, numb dreamer.
It's the name of your first album. Miro, your your character, please.
Oh, instincts. Always challenge blasphemy. Is my duty as a priest to impart my knowledge to others. Always offer an advice or an aphorism. Never ignore a potential sign of the angel's holy machinations. And then we got some traits. Believer, faithful, gifted, tonsured, vested, zealot, demented, mad, tall, violent, pious, tough, and foe.
Fantastic. All right, and you've got Robillard at your side as a he's not an acolyte in the same way. Like your uncle has gone from being like kind of obnoxious housekeeper landlord guy to like he actually believes that you're you're a messiah figure or a prophet. And then Father Robillard sees you as I guess a person who shares his obsessions.
Yeah, we're working together. It's not.
That's more.
I think before the last conversation, it was I would work for him. I think we've changed the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it might be worth mentioning because it's been something I've been working on for a couple of sessions on my sheet. My reputation for Blessed by the Angels is now at one dice with the church, the common folk, and nobles.
Yes.
So it's like whole society now.
Yeah, you're expanding. Well, almost. You're missing one burgeoning social class. The commoners and the nobles in the church all believe you, but there's this new class, the merchant class, the middle class that's developing.
Oh shit, the bourgeoisie.
I guess I don't really even understand the existence of.
Exactly. Yeah, most people, like the lady treasurer knows that they exist, and some of the other sort of more shrewd classes, like the shrewd characters, might be aware of it, but for the most part, they're just ignored as like rich peasants or wannabe nobles with money, right? Like nobody worth kind of paying attention to, but a few people are like, these people that have made ships and castles, and we've paid them for a ton of stuff. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let's begin with Joy.
All right.
So Joy, you are when we fade in on the episode. Joy, you're standing in the square outside the sort of broken ribs of the unfinished Cathedral of the Conclave.
Okay.
There is snow blowing all about you. There are the bodies of the obsequious dead frozen in place. And you're facing the castle, right? We're looking over your shoulder up at the cathedral, and its doors are open, and there is just sort of inky darkness within. You are wearing, though you don't feel cold. You should, but you don't. You're wearing the tattered, kind of ragged shift that you once wore when you were first a slave, when you were a young harem slave. And so you feel this kind of like ragged garment kind of flapping around your legs in the cold wind. You can feel the presence of something within the cathedral.
I think, it's one of those things where it's like you probably know you're dreaming. Like, I'm pretty sure if I'm not feeling the cold and I'm wearing something I haven't seen in years and I'm outside the castle, like hanging around in the square, then yeah, like it's not real. But that sense that I'm getting from the cathedral, like menacing, or like is it fear?
No, it feels like a gravity. It feels like the pull of a current, something kind of drawing you forward.
Yeah, I think curiosity getting the better of me, I would follow that pull to where it led and like walk up the steps of the cathedral towards the door.
All right.
So in the snow.
We see you moving through the snow towards the dark opening of the door, and the places where your feet touch the snow melts, so we can see these sort of like footprints leading up to it. And everything that this is one of those sort of rare examples where Joy's consciousness is the same or tied to ours. So Joy sees herself walking through the snow. It's not all, for you, it wouldn't all be in first person.
It's an out of body experience.
Yeah. So you kind of are shifting your perspective. We hear as you reach the bottom of the stairs, we hear a deep, low growl, and the shape of some kind of beast emerges from the darkness. It has this sort of general shape of a cat, but is much larger, covered in dun fur and rippling muscle. Like it's a big like hunting cat. I don't think Joy has ever seen a lion before.
She has no context for this.
It's an enormous, terrifying looking cat. However, its head appears to be missing its flesh and skin. It's just the skull of this lion, and instead of a mane of fur and hair, it is a mane of dripping, glistening, golden, kind of viscous fluid, which at first maybe you don't recognize, but as it drips onto the stone, and where it touches the stone, the gold fluid sprouts like flowers. We can see these sort of yellow blossoms emerge from the stone where this fluid drips in, and as the thing steps forward and moves towards you, we can hear a low kind of humming sound, and it seems to be walking down the stairs towards you.
I think I wait for it.
Okay. All right.
I don't like move towards it or reach out for it or anything. I wait for it to come to me.
Okay. All right. So the creature takes a few more steps down the stairs, and the sound increases. We can hear now that it's like a faint buzzing, and you can see that in the amidst the swirling of the snow, there's a swarm of tiny black and gold insects like buzzing around this thing's shoulders and head. And as it gets closer, through the amber kind of sap that seems to be covering it, you can see hexagon-shaped growths around like the socket of its eye, bits around the back of its head, and these creatures, these tiny insects, are like crawling in and out of it as the thing approaches.
I'm just trying to think, because like out of character, I'm very much aware that these are bees, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if Joy has that context.
I think that Carpathia is too far north to have like apiaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to Joy, what this looks like is a bunch of flies.
Sure.
It looks like a bunch of flies.
Yeah, they have this sort of menacing predatory look, but they might be a kind of fly. Sure.
And I think at this point she tries to like talk to it or say something to interrupt this like humming sort of noise that's coming out of it, and he says, "I don't understand. What are you trying to tell me?"
You speak in Stygian. You don't. I mean, maybe you understand what you're saying, but it comes out as a series of sort of rasping syllables. And the creature is now standing kind of right in front of you. It's descended the stairs and is standing kind of, waist. I guess you're not that tall, so it's like waist to shoulder, somewhere in that range, height. And you can see that it's holding something in its mouth, which it kneels, sort of like crouches down and drops at your feet. And immediately, like the honey that is sort of spreading on the floor around this object springs up into grasses and flowers. The flowers sort of bloom, and more like bees kind of fly out of the flower blossoms as they open.
I lean down to see what it's dropped in front of me, and like pick up whatever the objective is, if it's pick upable.
Yeah. Get dream object. It's a like a long, like a rod maybe made of gold, gold and lapis. It's in the shape of a shepherd's crook. So just like a long, like gold and lapis, like ornamental crook. You pick it up and lift it from the grass.
I'm looking it over and I feel like I want to make a check of some kind, but I don't have anything that would help
right,
me.
Symbology or
what about like, is this in any way related to slavery? Because I'm wearing the garb of like my former. Because I have slavery wise.
Speaking of that, so you get another. So I think we see you turn, so that the cathedral is behind you, and you're standing, and all around your feet are these like reeds and grasses. It's kind of grown up around you, and you're standing knee deep in it. And behind you, we see the cathedral, and it too is like overgrown with vines and moss. The snow is gone suddenly, and you look out, and you don't really get to see much because your mind's eye is focused on yourself. And now, instead of your slave garb, you're wearing some kind of complex, like folded tunic in the same colors as the crook, and you have cradled under one arm a lamb, like a baby sheep. And so you're holding this lamb in one hand and the crook in the other, as you sort of turn, and then you wake up, and it's like all the cold, like the fire of the room you were sleeping in has gone out, and you wake up from shivering. Right? You wake up and you're shaking, and you have your thin blanket or whatever you've scavenged together, yeah. And that's where you're at.
What the hell was that? All right. I think, if I'm like freezing, I'm going to try and fix that problem, go somewhere where it's warmer. Like, what time is it? Are we talking like middle of the night?
It's impossible to say. Yeah, middle of the night sometime.
Okay. So anyone I could talk to about it is probably asleep, but I don't care. I'm gonna go find Agata if she's around. Is my plan.
Okay, yeah. So you head out into the castle to find Agatha.
Yep.
All right, cool. We'll catch up with you in a second. Sometime adjacent thereto, Elisandra finds herself alone in a room with the Megastiptera. The last time we saw you were looking for your kid, and maybe also your noble brother, and instead we're intercepted and immediately calmed by the Magus.
Mm-hmm.
The calm trait is gone, so you can get riled up again. I mean, you could have before, but that unnatural calm has faded. But you've been taken to another room, a side room, and I think that we sort of fade in on this scene, and the Magus, dressed in his long robes. He's got robes and then like a fur kind of mantle. He dresses nicely, but in muted colors. And he currently has his back to you. He's pouring a couple of goblets of wine. You're in a small kind of one of these random like palace rooms that people use for meetings or whatever. It has a couple of chairs and is otherwise fairly unadorned. There's a fireplace with a low fire burning to keep it from freezing in here. What do we see when we see Alessandra? What's her situation? What does she look like?
I think she's trying to, like, she took the calm that was thrust upon her, and I think that she's a little bit more reserved now, even though she doesn't necessarily like have the calm trait anymore. Like, it gave her that breathing room, and she's kind of trying to like tuck her hair back, like that was kind of frazzled and from rushing around, and just like gather herself. I feel like she's probably hoping that the spy master knows something, and that's why he like took her to the side, like about her son or Reza. Otherwise she would be hoping to get an in, probably to figure out if he could help her or find someone that could help her, because last time we determined that my estate doesn't really have people hunting type people just wandering around.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're just limited to what you get from your resource points, which is like house staff rather than like bounty hunters.
Yeah, so she's probably standing. I don't think that she would sit down or relax, looking around, trying to gather herself, and hoping to address what would she like. I want to know what she would already know about the Magus, because he's obviously someone that is important. He's the spy master, and
well, I guess is the question here what you know about him as a person, what you know about his position, what you know about like his house? Do you want to know what the court thinks of him? What's like look at your wises and pick the one that you're using here.
Because I feel like she's not an idiot, and she probably knows that he's as mysterious to any other members of court as he would be to her. He's a spy master. He doesn't let shit just get spoken about him. I feel like the way that Alessandra would usually learn about people is more to do with where they stand. So probably about his house and about his job. Or about his job.
Okay. I mean, the job of spy master is just his job to know everything that's going on and to inform the king. It's both internal security and external intelligence. If the kingdom were at war, he would be responsible for the intelligence branch of whatever was going on there. Technically, I don't think that Carpathia is at war, maybe with Stygia, but only by connection to the like southern kingdoms that are closer to Stygia. So mostly his job is internal shit, keeping a handle on what's going on in the kingdom, making sure the king is aware of all the threats to him, and then dealing with those threats. Depending, like every king has a spy master, right? It's a traditional position. Some of them act more as masters of assassins, some of them more as social orchestrators. You don't know particularly this guy, because I mean the king doesn't talk about him. It's not really like post-coital conversation topic. So how about Magus? He's a creeper. This guy happens.
Do people tend to disappear around here when
This guy happens also. Yeah, sometimes old ladies just fall down wells. It's the weirdest thing. This guy particularly is a magus as well. And he, the two are not connected. The fact that he's a spy master, the fact that he's a magus, they coordinate nicely, but they're two different. They're two different things. Magus is a title like professor. He has spent time studying the art of sorcery and has been recognized as such. But yeah, he's a spy master who happens also to be a magus.
And what about his house?
House Diptera?
House Diptera.
They are a small and secretive house, which is to say you're going to have to make a roll, I think.
Okay, I have court-wise. I have probably court-wise would be the thing. I know about the courts and the houses they're in, or noble-wise.
Noble-wise, I think makes more sense here.
Noble-wise?
Yeah, unless you have like noble houses-wise or house history-wise or...
No, I have noble-wise and court-wise.
Noble-wise and court-wise. Okay. Well, he's a member of court, so you can fork that in.
Okay.
If you'd like.
Wises with wises?
Yeah, absolutely. A wise is just a skill.
Okay, yeah. So I'm trying to get knowledge. So what would be the ob for knowing about this smaller secretive house?
I guess it depends. What kind of information are you looking for?
I feel like this is the sort of thing where Alessandra doesn't like to be caught unawares. And if she knows that the spy master's job is to know shit about people, then she would probably have at one point like talked with maybe Octavian or it's probably just she wouldn't go research this shit, right? That's not something that she would do. It would be like listening specifically, or maybe asking someone whose job it would be to know these sorts of things.
I mean, he's the guy whose job it would be.
Yeah, well, she's not going to talk to him about his own shit.
What can you tell me? Yeah, I mean, I think in this case, I mean, I just want to know what you want to know about him or about his house. Are you looking for something that can give you leverage, like a dark secret? Are you looking for something that might give you insight into him particularly?
I think it's more insight than leverage.
Okay. All right. So you just want some information about...
Yeah.
Probably open then, isn't it? More successes, more knowledge.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, as my person, as the player, I kind of want to know a little bit more about this.
Just treat it as an Ob 1 Noble-wise test. The more you get, the more stuff.
Okay. Three successes.
Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. So this isn't about him particularly. You don't know anything about this guy. Nobody has ever told you about. You don't have the access to the information that would be like, let me tell you about Alexei Diptera particularly.
Mm-hmm.
But House Diptera, they're a small and not particularly influential house. Their sigil is the fly. They're from a kingdom to the northeast of here. They tend to sort of stick to their own. They're not big like travelers. And there's never been a Diptera like king anywhere ever. Their house is a part of the court of another king somewhere else. Yeah, I think that for the most part, people don't really like care that much about them. They're kind of ignored. Yeah. Do you have any specific questions? Because I would be happy to give you answers according to the 3.
I don't know. I feel like Alessandra probably would never, up until this point, have gone deeper than that. So sure. I just kind of wanted some establishing information.
Yeah, and you can decide what you do with that information or what you think, but the general, I won't say what the general consensus is, but they're not a big deal, House Diptera.
Yeah. So is Spymaster a station where it would normally go to someone who was a bigger deal?
Depends on the kingdom.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. All right. So I'm up in here with the spy master, and
Yeah, and so he turns and he holds out a sort of a plain gray like metal goblet to you, and you can see the deep red of a wine inside.
and I'll take it. For politeness' sake, and I say, thank you for, whatever it was you did. I was out of my head a bit, but still, it is very important to me to find my son and my brother, and the winter is so harsh. I'm worried for them. And there's this like swallow of like, yeah, that's why I'm real worried about that particular. They could be dead. Yeah, that's why I'm worried. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's handed you the goblet, but hasn't drank his own. He's just holding it in his hands. You swear out of the corner of your eye for a moment, the little lead pin of a fly that's holding his cloak on seems to like rub its little forelegs together. But when you look at it directly, it's not moving. And he says to you, it must be exhausting having to lie to everyone all the time. And he like takes a drink.
And she does that, what are you talking about, kind of exhalation that I just did. Like, excuse me?
He shakes his head. I often find that people become tired when exercising something they're not particularly skilled at. Do you not find it tiresome, Lady Alessandra?
I'm I'm sorry, I don't quite understand what you're I am no more or less tired than usually. Thank you for inquiring about. I just want to find my son. If you can help me, then that would be great. If you cannot, I have to find someone else who can. The timing is of the essence.
He shakes his head and he says, you do not have to bear that burden here with me. I know that honesty is unfamiliar to you, but don't waste your time.
I think Alessandra is like, what is it this guy is asking for me? Because, yeah, it is very uncommon for someone to just be like, stop it. Stop this whole
Just shush, cut it out.
thing. And she's afraid that he's saying something else than that. And so she's not going to just out and out drop the mask, as it were. Like, she's a courtier. This is all that she is, right? And so I think that she would probably, I don't know, like there's that question again of like, what is it that you want from me, Magus?
He kind of scowls slightly, just the like littlest movement of his eyebrows. I don't want anything from you, Lady Alessandra. You were the one who came to court upset, looking for help.
Can you help me find my son?
I wouldn't be a very good spy master if I couldn't.
Will you help me find my son?
He kind of puts his hands out and he says, and why, Lady Alessandra, would I want to do that?
Because he's missing? Is it of your nature to let children remain missing? if there's someone whose job this is, then please introduce me to them. I have not.
I believe, Lady Alessandra, the responsibility of knowing where one's offspring are falls to the parent. Why are you suddenly so desperate to find your child, Lady Alessandra?
The responsibility of knowing where one's offspring is falls to the parent. Indeed, Sir Magus. And ordinarily, I have my son with his teachers at my house. I know where he is. When, as now, I do not, of course I am worried.
He shakes his head. You have no reason to be worried. Lord Neculai's education is being seen to.
And you know this how?
He just grins.
Ugh, Dick. Are you taking the responsibility to watch over my son, then, Lord Magus?
He shakes his head. I take no responsibility for any member of this court. I merely observe. I have observed a great deal of your behavior of late, Lady Alessandra.
And she's very much getting to the point where it's like, okay, this is very circular. He's talking around something, but she's not gonna like be the person that goes straight to the point. I feel like she wants to be like, are you going to help me or not? But not just say like, so are you gonna help me or not?
How does it go? Roll the dice or?
So, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, you can say it, or you can, if you have a skill, you would like to like couch the implication in. You could certainly try to make that roll.
I mean, what would it be? Like, what's the etiquette to saying like, are you gonna help me or are you just gonna talk at me? Because I got shit to do.
I mean, yeah, like what do you want?
She wants him to.
He's really enjoying the fact that you're not willing to just outright, like he's brought you in here and is like, you just lie all the damn time. Stop lying to me. And you're just like, how can I not say the thing I want to say?
Well, but she's not lying. She wants to find her son. He's saying, I know where your son is, but like, it's not my job to help you. So like, maybe she would be like, you know where my son is. I would like to know where my son is. What do you want from me to give me this information that you seemed to find so easily?
And he grins again and he says, there it is. You wish to make a deal. I have information that you would like, and perhaps you can do something for me, Lady Alessandra.
And she's just waiting, like...
I want you to understand, Lady Alessandra, that this is an offer of kindness on my behalf. If you had anything of value, I could take it from you. I could have you arrested for murder. I could have you tried for treason.
Excuse me?
Your dalliances with the king continue because I have no reason to stop them. I want you to understand that you are entirely at my mercy. Am I clear, Lady Alessandra?
Crystal Magus.
He nods and he says, good. Clarity is so important, don't you think?
And she's just like straight face, like, this is fucked, this is entirely fucked.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what? Can you make a steel test? I think this is steel test worthy.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I can't fork anything, it's just a steel test.
Yeah.
And
So you make it,
does
and
it
then
work
every
again?
success reduces your hesitation, but you can choose what you do while you're hesitating.
Okay, so there's no modifiers or anything. The obstacle would be nothing.
Yeah. Set the obstacle as your. I mean, so like, you're being startled. This is something mundane, so I think you can take a like an extra die. I think because he's not. It's not like you're being, like lit on fire or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say just give yourself an extra die, and then set the ob as your hesitation.
Okay. Lovely. This is, why is it?
Is steel supposed to be open-ended? Because mine is ticked, and I can't remember if that's
Mine
right.
is tipped.
Steel is always open.
Steel is, yeah.
The obstacle won't change. Let me just exit this. Cancel. I don't want to do that. Do we have another one up or something? Hello? Nothing will change. Why? Let me just. Sorry.
It's okay.
My Roll20 broke.
It's all right.
Let's try this again.
Okay.
Steel. Hesitation. There we go.
Ooh, all right. So
That's real bad. That's
so your
good.
hesitation is 4 normally?
Yeah.
Okay. So for 3 actions, basically, what do you do? Do you stand and drool? Do you fall prone and beg for mercy? Do you run screaming, or do you swoon? What is your response? So like, there's that feeling of you're caught, right? Like, here is another person who knows all the bad shit that you've done and are continuing to do, and and how do you respond? You feel that suddenly, like, you get a little bit of tunnel vision. The edges of your sight get blurry. You can feel your heart pounding, hummingbird fast in your chest.
She would just probably stand there. I don't think that she would like run from the room or anything. Like, this guy is not to be trifled with. I don't think that he would let her leave. He didn't want her to go anyway. Like, at least she'd probably just like stand there, like, pale faced.
Okay.
And she wouldn't swoon or anything.
And he has a few minutes to monologue while you like try to breathe.
Yeah.
And he says he nods, and he looks at something, like he looks at you in a way that he kind of like, it's almost like he's looking like through you. Like, there's some change about the way his eyes are focused. And he nods and says, yes, that feeling you're experiencing, being laid bare this way. It is unsettling, isn't it? And he like walks around behind you, and you're just like standing there, kind of staring into empty space. And he says, "You expend so much energy pretending to feel things, behaving in a way that you think will convince others to join you in your plots and schemes, and leave so little room for what you truly feel." And he puts a hand on your shoulder, and I think you like instinctively like flinch, and that cold sense of like, oh God, like you can still feel it kind of thrumming in your veins. And he says, "Remember this moment, Elisandra. This is who you are." And you can start to feel like you take a shuddering breath as the like crushing like sense of fear and guilt kind of like washes over you and passes through you, and he finishes his like little circle and is staring at you. And what do you do when you feel like suddenly you're able to speak again?
I think she's a bit cowed.
Mm-hmm.
I think she would just like, I don't think that she's scared. He knows everything basically, like that. I mean, at least knows enough to make threats, and if if the spy master goes to the king with whatever, like, she's fucked. So she would probably just stand there and be like, all right, like, you put a deal forth on the table and you haven't said anything. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. So he's standing in front of you, and I think you can see, again, it's because you're hyperventilating a little bit, but like the room behind him is sort of blurry. The light from the fire is flickering. You can hear like a faint ringing in your ears. You have like a little bit of tinnitus from the sudden like rush of adrenaline and blood. And the only real clear thing are his like steel gray eyes like staring at you. And he says, "Don't be afraid, Lady Alessandra. I do not wish to cultivate fear. If I wanted to hurt you, I would have done so. Do not take my inaction for approval of your behavior, but know that I am not here to interrupt your machinations. I see potential in you. A misstep along this path on either of our parts could destabilize His Majesty. I aim for stability above all else. I will tell you what you've come here to learn. The location of your son. He is not far and not in danger. Your leverage is safe. And in exchange, I want you to think of me as an ally. Someone with whom you can be honest. And he just pauses to give you a moment to speak.
Do you regularly threaten people you wish to work with?
He smiles. I'm not threatening you, Lady Alessandra. Merely exposing fact you may have been unaware of.
So I should be grateful that you have stripped me bare, as it were.
He nods. Gratitude would be appropriate.
And all you wish is that I consider you an ally in what exactly?
You expend so much energy pretending to be someone you're not. Think of me as solace from your own illusions. I want only to understand the truth of you, Lady Alessandra. Give me the opportunity to do so.
This deal is rather vague, Megas.
He shrugs. Do you want to know where your son is, or not?
Yeah, I do, of course.
He nods, and he turns away from you. And when he breaks eye contact, you feel as though a puppet with its strings cut, right? You feel your knees tremble a little. And and he turns around, and he says to you, but just speaking kind of casually to the fire, he says, You'll find your son in the city, at the estate of the mayor. Reza is his invited guest.
Thank you. Is that all? May I go?
And he turns. And are you still holding the wine goblet, or have you spilled it on the floor?
She's holding it, but she hasn't taken a single sip. She's kind of frozen there a little bit.
He looks at it.
Don't be afraid, but she's terrified.
He looks at it and he looks at you and he says, "Aren't you going to finish your wine?"
I'm scared. I don't want to drink it. It could have stuff in it.
Throw it in his face.
No.
And then break the glass and stab him with it.
No. Give him the old wine glass to the torso maneuver.
It was pewter or something.
Yeah, it's a pewter.
Give him the old bludgeon him around the face with it maneuver.
It's lead. He just wants to very slowly poison you over a long period of time.
I feel like there's he just pointed out, aren't you going to drink your wine?
Yeah.
And he was also if I wanted to get rid of you, I already would have done that. And so she very like slowly raises it to her lips and takes a small sip.
Well, so I was going to ask you, so do you do that thing where you like, because you could just like drink the whole thing, like handshaking, and then put it down and leave.
No.
Okay.
No, she's I mean, she already did her hesitating and shit. That would be like she's got her shit together enough to just drink wine, but it's very much like he just said like several times, if I wanted to mess with your shit, I would have already done so. So there's that like, yeah, he could do many more things than poison my wine.
Yeah, that's not his modus operandi.
I
Though
mean,
it would be ironic to poison you.
I mean, yeah, no,
we don't know if he likes irony.
Perfect irony.
It's still like on her mind. Like, this is the spy master, and like he just threatened basically by saying all the things that he knows that I've done, and but also he said, "Aren't you going to drink your wine?" And so etiquette demands. Yeah, she would take a sip and then probably set it down. If he like, is there like a? I think she's very much like deferring to him, like as though he were her better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he is.
Yeah, well, there's this shift in
welcome to my life.
She learned about his house and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, Diptera, whatever." And then he like magicked her and was like, "I know all the shit you've ever done." And so she's very like, "Okay, so this isn't about houses; it's about power."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she's not, like I said several times, an idiot.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, you get your shit together. You've finished your hesitation.
So I would like to posit that you have two instincts working right now, and it's which one you want to angle for getting you in trouble. Always having the last word, or always ingratiating yourself to people. If you don't do one, you do the other.
No, she's terrified. She wouldn't like try and mess with this guy's shit by being like, "I'm gonna say something."
Fade points. I love them. Get them.
I love them. They're the best.
No. I think that she's no, I can't.
Okay, so what do you do?
I mean, he points out her drink. She takes a sip, and then she probably says, "Thank you for the information." What time of day is it? It's like night, right? So it wouldn't be like, "Let me go barge into the mayor's house."
I mean, fuck it. It could be.
He's got your kid.
I think it's more like, "Thank you for the information. I must prepare to act on it," or whatever. I don't know how she would say it. But basically, she's just she's trying to be polite, but also like, "I want to go."
Yes.
Can I leave?
Please, sir, may I be dismissed?
Yeah, but she wouldn't say that because that's something a servant would say.
By your leave is traditionally the response, right? Like,
okay. By
your leave, like, can I be? It's the noble, like, courtly way of saying, "Can I be dismissed?" without making yourself look like a jackass.
Yeah, so she would be like, "By your leave."
Yeah, and he says, "Before you go," and he reaches into his tunic and he produces a small like iron coin, and he goes to hand it to you, and he says, "If you visit the estate of the mayor, do something for me. Leave this behind. Somewhere it's unlikely to be discovered."
And she, like, reaches out a hand for it.
Okay. Yeah, he places it into your... He puts it into your palm and then with his hand closes your fingers around it. It's cold. Like, despite being, like, in his sort of, like, breast pocket, it feels, like, cold to the touch.
And, like, she wouldn't have pockets. Ladies don't have pockets. Ladies don't get pockets.
Well, you'd have, like, a belt with a little, like, purse or something on it, probably.
No, she wouldn't.
Yeah, why not?
Why would she ever? Like, servants can carry anything that she needs carried.
I guess.
Royalty doesn't carry things around. Fuck it.
All right.
Guys get pockets. Ladies look good. That's how it has always gone throughout the centuries.
Whoa!
Throughout history.
Shots fired at cargo pants.
It is known.
It is known. Okay, so he hands you this coin, and then
she like puts her hand like in her skirts, so like you can't see that she's like holding something, and then does like the. Okay, I'm gonna.
And you leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, what you don't know is that he also has the same instinct to always get the last word in. So you're like, "Buy your leave," and he's like, "Yes, please." And you're like, "I think I will." And he's like, "All right, goodbye then." And then this is the whole game for the rest of time.
No, you hang up.
Yeah, no, you hang up. I love you more. So you, you're given the coin and you step out. And before we go to break, I want a reaction shot of Elisandra like alone. So you walk out of the room, the door closes behind you. What do we see you? What's the look on Elisandra's face here?
I think she like opens up her hand and looks at the coin, and there's this like thought process, but very basically she's probably gonna go to her own like private quarters and just ransack the place looking for a similar coin.
Okay.
Like as though like the Megas hat, like she's probably gonna.
That's a good response.
Yeah. So that's we see you open your hand, you look at the coin. It's a regular like iron coin minted in this kingdom. It has one of the king's ancestors' faces on one side, but on the other side where there's supposed to be a tree, there's a little like ugly looking horsefly instead. So you like close your hand over it and then like storm off to your room.
Yeah, okay. And she's just gonna basically like angrily like
Kylo Ren that shit.
Yeah, someone got the better of me. Like, all
right, cool. So we see you storm off. We can figure out what kind of skill you require to ransack your own room when we get back. So stick around. We got lots more Burning Wheel coming at you right after the break.
Ransack wise.
Yeah, ransacking wise, bugs wise. Stick around. We'll find out.